Hello everyone, this is FideMaster Viktor Neustroev, and today we start our new webinar. Today the topic is miscalculations in exchanges. So while we are waiting for more people to come, is there anybody who attends this webinar for the first time? Also, please let me know whether the quality of the sound and video is good. So I'm still on a green screen because I'm doing probably the best course on tactics that I could ever create. That's why, I'm trying to record it when only I have time. So probably not today, but tomorrow, definitely after I finish some of my lessons, I'll be recording the course. Okay, so everything seems to be good. So people are joining. Okay. So why I chose this topic, miscalculations? Well, because there are different forms of miscalculations. They can, a chess player can make can miscalculate or make such a mistake in at any stage of the game, even the opening, middle game, the end game, and this skill to ability to calculate the lines properly without any inaccuracies makes a chess player a strong player. An ordinary chess player is a strong player. So, for example, I really enjoy positions where a calculation of the lines is required. Why? Because I think that I'm good with it. I can calculate the line. I can find something else, find some intermediate moves, because I calculate every line. Well, for example, I make a move and then I expect my opponent to play this or that move, and then okay, so and then I know what I'm going to do in this scenario, and in the third scenario. So usually there are 3 or 4 different scenarios, and I'm prepared for all of them. And that's why, because of the ability to calculate the lines more accurately, a chess player may win the game. Well, he is likely to obtain material advantage, and the rest is just a pure technique, which is not so difficult. The most difficult task is to uh, how to find where your opponent made a mistake and how to punish him. So this is what our webinar is about. But before we start, let's check the homework from the previous webinar. So here, the game between Larry Christiansen and Anatoly Karpov, the last move was bishop d6, and that was actually a blunder. And many of you sent the answer, which was definitely correct. It's queen to d1, so it's a double attack. So Karpov just blundered a piece, and then he resigned. Both pieces are under the attack, and there is no way to make a tempo gaining move with one of these pieces. Okay, and there was a second one. The second game, it's the fragment from the game between Rustam Kasimdzhanov and Alexander Grishchuk. And the homework was here. Bishop c2 was played, and here I asked you, what did black miss? Because before that, with a bishop pair, they had a serious space advantage, and their position was definitely much, much better with winning chances. But then Grishuk suddenly plays bishop c2. So what do you think he missed? Well, yeah, right. He misses knight e6. How does knight e6 work? So knight e6 is a fork, and if rook takes, it's rook d7. So we are taking advantage of the enemy king's position. King goes there, but then he loses the rook on b2. So you can simply take it. Here, for some reason, Kasimdzhanov decided to repeat the position, and only then he took on b2. Maybe he wanted to collect some more time. Okay. So what else could happen here? If, let's say, the rook doesn't take, but the king goes there, it's 95 extra piece. If the king goes to b6, it's still a rook, right? So then the game would continue with this move, check. Then the king moves. If the king goes there, he falls under a check. That's why the king goes to a7. And after king a7, it's just rook b2. Well, you hang your rook and your knight, but you attack both bishops. For example, bishop takes rook, knight takes e5, you have extra piece. And this is a winning position. So this is how Kasimdzhanov was able to take advantage of the mistake that Grishuk made. Okay, can you please let me know if you can see, yes, if you see the whole board, including the names of the people who was playing. Maybe I should move it a little down, like that. Okay, perfect. So what we are going to talk now. So for today, I prepared another study, and let me show you how mistakes in calculation happen. So, well, first of all, what you should understand about the exchanges. Well, the exchange of pieces in a chess game is a very important element. And well, exchanges are played because of two reasons, with some strategic improvement. For example, when we exchange a bad piece for a good piece, or we are trying to neutralize the enemy piece, which is doing something really helpful for our opponent's position. Or there can be some tactical elements, like we exchange pieces and then initiate a tactical strike. And if it's just a one exchange, it's okay. Well, most likely your opponent won't blunder anything. But if there can be a series of exchanges, then it's likely that your opponent may make a mistake. So, and very often with these exchanges, there are a lot of tactical combinations and so-called in-between moves in the middle of the line, especially if you deliver several exchanges in a row. And for those who want to improve with miscalculation and exchanges, what I recommend is doing intermediate moves combinations. So I have a study on chess. You can also search for the puzzles devoted to this topic. There is a lot of books. Yeah. So there are a lot of books that you can use. Well, the one that I recommend is written by Maxim Bloch. It's called 1,200 Combinations, and there is a paragraph devoted to intermediate moves. However, maybe for some of you, these puzzles are too easy. But I also have more. So, and this is my favorite topic because the games are won because of intermediate moves, because people are missing something. And if you are able to recognize that your opponent made a mistake, you are likely to take advantage of it. So, before you initiate an exchange combination, in order to not make a mistake, you should explore what opportunities your opponent has. It is great if your position is very solid and everything is defended and the king is safe too. But it happens quite rare. In almost every game, we have something which can be under attack or is already under the attack. And because of that, we have to analyze this exchanging process in details. And when you calculate the line, so let's say you are satisfied with the exchanges, then always ask yourself what happens. Well, you always ask yourself if your opponent has something better than this. For example, let me illustrate it with this position. Here, black decided to play rook b6. Why? Well, white pieces are more active. They wanted to get rid of white pieces, so simplify and then claim a draw. Because if we exchange rooks, for example, or rooks and knights, I mean, one pair of rooks and then the knights, it's a draw, right? So rook b6 is a very logical move, and rook c7 as a reaction to it doesn't work, just rook d8 or maybe rook d6. So it's possible to stop such an exchange. But black also had one more idea here. They thought that probably white is a greedy person and also a strong chess player, so he may notice that this rook is protected by the knight on d7. So that's why it does make sense for white to capture on d7, eliminate the knight, and get rid of the defender of the rook on b6, after which king takes, rook b6. So black also had this idea in mind. And what do you think black prepared for such a situation? Who can tell me? So king c7. Yeah, king c7. King c7 traps the rook. Let me make these moves on the board. So rook b6. Well, if rook takes b6, it's completely fine. If, for example, rook c7, it's possible to play rook d8 or rook d6 and defend against this pin. And well, black hoped that if white exchanges, it's good. But if white initiates this tactical strike, eliminating the defender of the rook, then king takes that rook. The rook from c6. Yeah, can you please stop drawing? The rook from c6 takes on b6. And then king c7, trapping this rook. That was the black's idea. But this move leads to series of exchanges. And what do you think black missed here? What do you mean? Which move black missed here? Not white missed, but black missed. Okay, right. Okay, right. So it's rook takes d7, king takes d7, and knight a5. With this move, white is able to chase the king away, as well as protect on c6, which is not required. And after the king is chased away, it no longer can get to c7. So simply rook b6, and white wins with white has extra knight, and this is a completely winning game. So even strong chess players may miss it. So every time you force an exchange on you offer an exchange, always calculate these intermediate things. They may happen. Here, for example, there are two exchanges, a rook for a knight and a rook for a rook. That's why all these lines have to be calculated properly, and only then you should make a move on the board. So here, black thought that he calculated, but he didn't ask himself whether white has a better move in this position. It's not rook takes b6. It's a better one. It's knight a5. This is what he missed. Okay, fine. Let's continue. Let's continue. Let's continue with the next example. Well, again, two grandmasters playing against each other. And in this position, well, there is a pin. There is some attack with the bishop and with a knight on f5. So black decides to simplify. They play bishop takes c1, hoping that white takes back, after which probably it's possible to somehow activate the queen and not blunder the knight. So maybe the bishop, maybe something like queen e8 would work. Not actually sure what they had in mind. Yeah, actually, well, they were hoping bishop takes e7, rook takes e7. It's logical, right? But what did they miss after bishop c1? Who can tell me? Okay, I stopped sharing for a second, and now I share the screen again. So waiting for your suggestion, guys. What's wrong with bishop takes c1? Because it seems like a natural move. Okay, fine. Anybody else wants to offer anything? Okay, so here actually, queen h3, okay. Here actually Johnny is absolutely correct. Well, after bishop c1, let's try to visualize it. So after this move, it's not queen g4. Queen g4 seems logical, but then it's possible to play bishop takes f5. And, well, black hangs their queen, but attacks the enemy queen. And if, let's say, it's pawn takes, then it's even queen g5, exchanging the queens and trying to save the bishop on c1. So that's why I think that after bishop c1, queen g4, bishop takes f5, the queen has to take on c5. Then here they save their queen, and then we take the bishop. But instead of saving their queen, they can play bishop d2. They are most likely lose this bishop on d2, but, well, it's a little hard to capture it right away. So that's why it's definitely not a good idea doing this right away. Well, queen h3 doesn't make any sense. So what you should do is you should capture on d7 first, attacking the enemy queen. And if the queen takes, then with queen g4, you actually create a double attack. So you are targeting g7, and you are also threatening to play knight h6, which wins a queen because of this discovered attack. Well, those of you who cannot visualize the position, can you please let me know by sending a direct message? Because if the majority of participants do not visualize it, then I'm not going to calculate such long lines with arrows. I will instead make them on the board. So if you struggle with visualization, just let me know. Okay, so bishop c1, and this doesn't make sense because of bishop f5, and our queen is hanging too. And even if we take with the pawn, they have this move, attacking our queen and trying to save their bishop. So we have to take with the queen, but then it's the same. Oh, actually, no, it's not the same. It's bishop d2. And we will definitely win this bishop later, but it's not clear. Probably we have to play these moves. Well, if we play this move, it's queen g here. Then what? g3 has to be played. And rook here. So again, it's not so obvious. That's why definitely not this. This move doesn't make sense neither. So it's rook d7 obligatory. Then queen takes. Well, the queen may not take, but in such a case, we just take here and delay our main idea. The queen finally will take, and we will still do this. Okay, so queen takes d7, queen g4, double attack, threatening a mate and threatening a discovered attack. All we need is just to move the knight and do this. And unfortunately for black, they cannot play f6 because of this. Even if they could, knight h6 would still work. So queen g4, what they can do? Well, probably, I don't know, queen sacrifice, for example. E takes, and then the bishop retreats. But then h4, bishop f6, so white is completely winning. They have queen versus rook and knight. Okay, fine. Let's continue. What else do we have in this position? Well, what do you think, guys? What white should play here? White to move. What's the best move according to your opinion? So I'm waiting for your suggestions. Okay, thank you. There was a suggestion by doing this, knight takes e6. Well, okay, interesting, but what's the purpose? Let's say bishop takes. Then what? Would you like to capture on d6? Well, yes, it does make sense to capture on d6, but let's say queen takes, rook takes. This knight is hanging, but it's possible to play knight c4. So knight e6, or maybe knight e6, bishop e6, we can play this move first, but I don't see the purpose. Well, black definitely wants to play knight c4, and we should either prevent it or look for a counterattack. And here, white decided to play a counterattack. Well, the alternative is b3, after which we can declare that white has a small but stable advantage. They are intending to play e5 in the future and open the king's position while black pieces are not developed, and while the pawn is on b3, the knight on a5 is not doing much. But white thought that they can win, and this is where they played knight to b5 move. What's wrong with this? Well, let me explain what white had in mind. So a takes b5, knight takes b5, attacking the queen and the d6 pawn. If the queen moves too far, it's just bishop b6. So let's say the queen goes to d8, and if the queen goes to d8, then knight d6 works. The king goes to f8 to e7 and queen b4, creating an attack on b6 as well as some discovered attacks with the queen. Or a takes b5, knight takes b5, queen d8, it's queen d6. Why? Because after queen takes queen, knight takes d6 is still a check, and the b6 knight is no longer protected with anything because the queen was exchanged. And there is no way to castle. For example, take, take. this, queen takes, castle is illegal because f8 is under the white's queen control. What do you think? Would such move like bishop c3 work here as an intermediate move? Seems like a good idea because such a move attacks the queen, and also the queen can be captured with the queen. I mean, so the queen can be captured with a check, I mean. But if bishop c3 is played, it's simply knight c7, and knight c7 is actually a check, after which white can successfully capture the bishop back and avoid all problems. So it's not bishop takes c3. There was something else that white missed, and I want you to identify it. Okay, so for example, a takes b5, knight takes b5. Maybe there is an intermediate move in that position when the pawn captures and the knight captures back. Who can tell me? So, well, right now I'm recording a course for Chessable devoted to tactical, how to improve your tactics, your tactical vision. And the first chapter that I start the course is devoted to forcing moves. What does it mean? I mean, in order to parry your opponent's plans and ideas, you first, if the position is sharp, should be looking for forcing moves, which are checks, captures, and threats. Well, some people say attacks instead of threats, but it's basically the same. So does black have any threats after a takes b5, knight takes b5? Maybe it's any checks, maybe any captures that deserve our attention. Okay, Johnny, can you please clarify? What do you mean? So a takes b4, knight takes b4, and then you suggest queen b4, but it's black to move. I'm asking what black can do. Okay, well, so guys, of course I can flip the board, and then you will be playing for black, but I want you to imagine such a situation when you decide to play knight db5, which looks attractive by the first glance, and your task is to recognize whether your opponent has any like any intermediate ideas that may help him to avoid this problem with the pawn hanging on d6. So yeah, so Paul is correct. Yes, it's knight b3. Knight b3. This is what white missed when decided to play knight b5. Let me show it on the board. So takes, knight takes, logical, right? What else can be done? And knight b3, which is a check. And because there is no knight, there is no possibility of capturing with the c pawn. What white can do? Take with the pawn, but then it's a checkmate on e1. Move the king, but then knight takes queen is a check, and then black has enough time to save their queen. So, for example, well, yeah, that's it. This is what they missed. Knight b3. In case of logical queen d8, I think queen d6 is the strongest option. We are threatening to take as well as to exchange and take on b6, and white should be winning. But every time you take a decision to initiate an exchange or apply a tactical strike, ask yourself. So, for example, in this line, it seems to be winning for white. Ask yourself, like, does my opponent have a better way of defending his position? Can he has a better alternative? And you should actually ask such a question at any moment. So, for example, does he have a better move rather than taking on b5? No. Does he have a better move on the second stage after he already took with the a pawn? Maybe instead of moving the queen, he can do something else. And this is how you'll find knight b3. And this is how you would reject the whole idea of knight b5. And you would play b3 and hold your small but stable advantage. And the game would likely end in your favor in such a case. Okay, so, well, this move doesn't work neither. So take, and then what? Taking with the bishop? Well, probably, but then at least bishop d7. Okay, fine. So knight db5 was a clear mistake. Let's continue. Okay, take. Why doesn't take the pawn on b5 and play queen b4? When? There is no possibility of queen b4 here. The knight is blocking it. And here it's too late to play queen b4. It's a check already. So maybe you mean do with this knight and then play queen b4, but I doubt it works. No, at least I have bishop d4. And after bishop, oh, actually it's a double attack? No, it's not. No, it is a double attack, right? So this move is a double attack. I thought that knight b3 is playable, but this time the king escapes. So a takes b3 is not a checkmate. Okay, fine. So queen b4 looks interesting. What does black have here? Or just bishop d7, for example. Let's say knight b5, bishop b5, and after queen b5, I can block with a knight, and it's fine. Same thing with bishop b5. Well, here I actually can, yeah, I still need to block with this knight. And after rook d6, knight c6. And I'm still a piece up. However, this is a playable position. Black is slightly better. There is no full compensation of. There is a compensation, but it's not a full compensation. Okay. So we are done. Now a stupid example. It's really stupid, but very often students that I just start working with ask me, well, Victor, what if my opponent just mirrors me? What if he plays similar moves? How do I take advantage of it? Well, because of doing exchanges. So this is an example. It's a real example from a real game played in the past where black wanted to mirror white. Let me show what happened. e4, e5, knight f3, knight f6, knight c3, knight c6. So this, castle, castle, d3, d6, bishop takes c6. Well, black decided to take on c3. It's not the best move. Well, here, this option was definitely better. So take there. Bishop b7, bishop b2. Bishop e8, bishop a1. Bishop g5, bishop g4. Well, it could make sense to play bishop c3 and keep this bishop alive. Then probably they would do this or this move. So, for example, h6, and if he goes there, then g5 is not playable. Then bishop g4. Okay, but it was bishop g4, basically the same. This is the first inaccuracy. And queen e1, queen e8. Bishop f6. If g takes f6, then we are doing this and trying to focus on the king side. But it was bishop f3. What would you continue here for white? Take on g7 or what? Bishop e2 or bishop e7, I mean. What do you have in mind? Okay, so, well, today we don't actually have many people. Um, well, Scott joined us. So, Scott, here we are talking about mistakes in calculations. So here, black was mirroring white, and finally we came to this position. The question is how white takes advantage of black mirroring them. Okay, there is a suggestion by Johnny. Okay, thanks. Let's wait for more suggestions here. Anybody else wants to either support Johnny's idea or suggest something else? Okay, thanks, Paul. Okay, okay, pawn takes f3, but pawn takes f3, then g takes f6, and well, how? King h1? Well, king h8, rook g1. I don't think it works because let's say king h1, there is no need to play king h8 right away. So let's say they play this move. You play this, they go there. Then what? You should bring the queen to the defense, maybe by doing this move. And then queen g2 is a danger. But queen g2, actually, they can play rook g1. But they can play rook g1 right away. And it seems to be a draw. I don't see how white can take advantage of it, because maybe if rook takes, queen takes, then it's queen h3, but I doubt. Why I doubt? Because there is a perpetual check. So queen g5, if you, let's say, with white pieces want to capture the pawns, the game ends in a draw. It's a perpetual check. Or maybe not. No, let me play something else. Just let me think a little. So queen g5, queen d2 can be played. Well, queen f4, you think, okay, and after this move, it's queen g5 back, king f1, and queen f4 again, but this time he goes to e2. But you can take there, they can take there, and it still should be a draw because this pawn is important too. Okay, maybe instead there is a better way to play here. So rook g8, yeah, what if I take with the king? Then queen g2, and king goes there. So there is no way to enter the black's camp. So it's likely to be a draw, especially when we have just fewer pieces on the board, like the queens here. So g takes f3 doesn't work. Instead, it's bishop f5. How does bishop f5 works? Let me explain. So if this move, bishop g2, then king takes on g2, or what? Yeah, king takes. No, it's still possible to capture there. But at least here you are one pawn up and have a strong attack on g7, at least. So if d takes e5, then you win a pawn. And that was actually the best thing that black could do. Queen c6, well, maybe they could do something else, but then you are already a pawn up. Trying to attack here, well, it should be winning. But this was the best thing. They instead took on e4, and this move was already a mistake because after bishop g7, the whole diagonal is open, and after bishop g2, bishop f8, you are already threatening with a mate. That's why at a certain moment, in case if a series of exchanges happens, you may get some extra opportunities. For example, if they do this, it's a checkmate on g7. You checkmate first. So if you do a check or threaten a checkmate, your opponent cannot mirror anymore. So they can capture with the king, then you do queen h8 and win this in game with extra exchange. Well, if they take with the queen, they simply lose on g2. There is no perpetual check. Even queen g7 check is not playable because of the queen on e1. So when you do a series of exchanges, they're likely to be a tactical solution, a tactical intermediate move, which provides you with a better position. Okay, we have one more example. And after that, we're gonna play this game. Yes. So one example, then the game and the homework. Well, white to move. Here, white decided to control the d5 square, so they played knight b4 with a temper. Probably rook c5 should be played. But instead, black decided to protect the rook with this, the pawn with this move. And of course, they got knight d5. What do you think? Which of the knights should go there? Which this or that knight? Which the c knight is suggested by Paul. What about the b knight? What's wrong with the b knight coming to d5? Because if you think that they can capture, no, they cannot. After queen c3, you are threatening with a checkmate as well as the rook. So the b4 knight goes. Actually, there is a difference. There is a huge difference which knight should go. Well, let me show you. White decided to go with this knight. They are attacking the rook. So, okay. So what happens then? For example, bishop takes d5, knight takes d5, the rook is hanging. And if the rook goes to b8, it's fine. There is no knight to fork on c6. However, in the game, they played this move, and we're going to talk about it. So they played this move, and they thought that nothing serious happens here. For example, if queen takes, then we can capture on d5, and it's just a different move order, and then we can play this move. But their other suggestion was that if knight takes rook, it's bishop takes c1, so the queen is hanging, rook c1 is a must, then queen b6, and this is where black is actually even winning because of an extra piece. So what's wrong with bishop b2? Who can answer? Long-term, the dark squared weakness over the king. Well, yes, but at the same time, there is a concrete blunder that you can punish right away by achieving a material advantage. Okay, there is a nice suggestion by Michael. It's rook c2, attacks the bishop, and black rook is under attack. Right, but you actually lost the bishop on b2 already. That's why if you take it back, you only restore material balance. So rook c2, then they take, then you can take here, and they now can play this move. And if you now do this, then he has two minor pieces for a rook. No, or actually they can retreat it right away. So Paul is correct. Yeah, Clifford is correct too. It's rook c8. Yeah, thanks. Rook c8, right. This is how you attack the queen. And if the queen takes, you can fork and win the queen. So here, king has to go to a dark square. That's why instead of taking here, you first take there with a check. They block this check somehow. Maybe knight f6, maybe just f6, which I think is better. And then you take there. And then if you calculate the material, it's queen versus rook and bishop. And you're also one pawn up. So a completely winning position. Okay, so rook c8. This is what they missed. Could they play better here? No. Bishop d5. Rook takes d8. No, it's not. So take, then take there, threaten this and this. No. Okay. Well, if in this position, instead of doing bishop b2, they play this, they still lose. But this time, they only lose the exchange after knight c6. Maybe actually more than exchange. So knight c6, queen has to go to e8, and then it is a check with this knight, king goes there, and then this. Then queen d4. Well, maybe we don't need queen d4. Well, let's do queen d4 anyway. Queen d4, f6. Knight takes there. So if they take here, we just exchange or move it back. And if they take on b8 with a knight, which prevents our knight from escaping, then we have rook c7 or at least knight d5 to secure our knight's position. So we have extra exchange, it's completely winning. So rook b6 was a mistake, but it wasn't too late to play rook, to take on d5 and then play rook b8. White is definitely better, but it's not a winning position. Just a position with some advantage. Okay, fine. So what did happen if we moved the other knight? What do you think? Would black defend his position in such a case? Well, definitely they would. But how? Well, Johnny's suggestion was before, which is actually correct. Before allows to parry this stuff because, well, what to do? This is not a possibility because the queen is under attack. And this is how white loses two knights for rook and pawn, which is definitely unfavorable for them. So this is an option. But even if just this move, then they are still completely fine. So that's why it's definitely the c knight should go there to have the control over the c6 square. However, if in this position they played bishop d5, they could avoid these problems. So knight takes and then rook b8. They are just slightly worse and it's still playable. Okay, fine. So let's continue with the next stage of our class. But before we decide, well, actually, let me send you the position that we are going to play. I will play queen g4 and you will be playing with white pieces, and your task will be to punish me for this mistake, well, for this inaccuracy. Also, those of you who would like to support my webinars, you can donate using this link. It's easy and you can do it through PayPal, like clicking on this button, entering the amount you want to donate, and then clicking here, PayPal. So then once you enter your account, the money will be automatically delivered to my PayPal account. So I really appreciate, especially those who already donated. So yeah, it supports my work as well as supports the work of my like assistant. I have a feed master from Russia who helps me. Well, this is my friend. Well, and I ask him to search for the games. I tell him the topic and he searches for the games. He sends me about maybe 10 examples, and then I choose the ones that I think are the best for our webinars. Okay, so this is the link for you. And also, if you have any questions or any suggestions regarding the webinar, regarding how should I change the format of the webinar to make it more interactive, you are welcome to send a message at tricksofchess.com. Now we come to the second part. The second part is playing simul. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to play from this position, the one that I sent to you. So this is how it goes. And your task will be punish me for playing like that. So custom 15 plus 10, set up the position. I play with black pieces. So who wants to play, please tell me your username. I'll enter it here and then send the challenge to you. Okay. Okay, so yeah, let me copy this link. You can also use this link to challenge me. Or tell me your username. Okay, so queen g4 was the last move. I offer an exchange of the queens. I'm not developed, so by offering the exchange of the queens, I want to maybe support my king, because with no queens on the board, I have better chances to succeed. Okay, then f3. So this is a simul. This is a simul. We are going to play from this position. And if you click on why the position is not from starting, because we are trying to practice how to take advantage of mistakes and miscalculations. Okay, then I have to play. Well, first of all, I would like to quickly develop my bishop with a check. What's wrong? Okay, yeah, I can play it. King h1, thanks. What's then? Then I have to move my queen. Where? Well, let's decide. I have two candidates, this and this. I feel like queen e5 is a better move. Okay, let me play it. So no, we are not going to play from a starting position. We are going to play from here. Okay, g4. Attacking my queen. Yes, this is an issue because what can I do then? It's bishop d3 on the next move. Actually, it seems that I made a mistake here. So queen g6, bishop d3, and then my queen is trapped. Do I have any counterplay here? No, my pieces are not developed. for that. So it seems that I have to sacrifice my knight. So this is not available. Yeah, I have to sacrifice the knight. Why it's not working? Queen g4, right. So now I have queen f6 at least. What's going on? Why cannot I play with the first move? So, well, how to challenge in this format? Tell me your username or use the link that I sent. Okay, so how many pawns do I have as a compensation? 2, which is good. Okay, 94. Well, it seems that I'm still in trouble. But this time I'm gonna move my queen to e5. So why to e5? Because I don't want to play this move and let my opponent play this, because after f6 I definitely weaken my position. So queen e5. If anybody else wants to play, please let me know. Well, no. On the webinars, we are playing from a certain position to practice. Maybe I will do some simuls where we are going to play from a starting position, but well, I will announce it if I decide. Okay, g5, but g5 allows me to castle. Knight f6 isn't a big issue. Wait. No. If you want to play, let's play from a certain position. So from the position that just a sec. So custom. Oh, no. So power 789, is it correct? Okay, so here bishop d2. Well, bishop d2 has the idea of doing bishop c3. Let me play b5. Why cannot I play in one move? So the challenge is sent, please accept it. Bishop c3. Well, I expected this move, but then queen c7. Because your king is weak too. Maybe I can somehow take advantage of it. Bishop d3 is saving the knight. Well, bishop b7 is a must. Rook c1, yeah, clever. But your knight is pinned. However, bishop b4 can be played, or bishop d4 can be played on the next move. Let me see how it works. So let's say I play this move, it's bishop b4. Okay, so finally the challenge appeared. Okay, while you're thinking, let me open my other game. Why? I want to try queen f4, actually. Not sure if it's a good idea. Bishop d2. Bishop b6 also makes sense, but then well, bishop b4 is a problem. Queen b6. Oops. So queen g4, knight g4. d1, bishop b4. I can play queen b6 here, which I don't like, but let's do it. What about this move? Just bishop here. No, I don't want to exchange the bishops. Okay, queen b6. Okay, actually, it looks like we are playing two games. So let me play something else then. Oh, let me play this move. Maybe it works. Okay, b4. Nice move. So what should I do? I cannot take. Bishop e3 is a possibility, then bishop d2. Bishop e7 is another move. Yeah, let me do bishop e7. And in this game, okay, so we are playing two games. I realized what happened. Okay, here, while the game is in a draw. It's a pity. Let me do one more. So b4. Yeah, what was the concept here? With my b4 move, I wanted to sacrifice my rook on d3. That was the plan. Okay, what do we have here? Bishop f4, bishop c5, queen g1, queen g1. Rook of d8 probably. Queen d3. Yeah, okay. Oh, I sacrificed it. So now this move. No, yeah, it's possible, right? Yeah, I think it is. Now I can castle here. So what I'm threatening in this position? To take on a4 and win a queen. So rook e1 is a must, right? Well, I'm not sure myself, actually. How to continue then? Maybe bishop f2 is a good move. Yeah, bishop f2 seems to be a good move. Okay, rook g2. Oh, so yeah, it's a good idea. So you decided to solve this issue by doing this. Well, let me do this move. Bishop d6. Okay, bishop d6. I can take here. So what options do I have? Well, I want to keep this bishop alive 100%. I can do this move, which threatens a checkmate. Well, this is a nice idea. So what do I expect? Maybe rook c2? Well, the other option I can try is this. Okay, bishop goes to b1, so to avoid the sacrifice. Well, yes, looks like white plays defensively. Well, there is a pin here. Maybe I can take advantage of it by doing bishop here. Or maybe I should play this move to increase the pressure on this guy. But I don't really increase the pressure on this guy. So let's see. Let's do this. Okay, so my rook is hanging, so I have to move it to d1 this time. Clever, but I just go back. Well, where do I go back? Do I go back to e3? Yes, I go back to e3. So, okay. Here, rook d3. Yes, I was expecting it. Now what? So knight e4 can be played here. Can play bishop d7 here. Yeah, let's play it. Rook d1. So there is a clear mating threat. Well, rook d1 is a good move, 100%. So queen g5 looks attractive, right? Yeah, queen g5 looks attractive because it covers the d8 square. If I just play, well, g6 is likely to be a blunder, h5 is likely, well, okay, let me take there. Bishop b2, okay. It seems I have to take here, but how to play then? Okay, so I take bishop takes. I have bishop queen c6, which double attacks. Well, e4 is not. I'm not really actually attacking e4 because it's protected enough. And I also have this move, but it seems to not work because they take on c8, they take on d2. Okay, so looks like the exchange is a must. Okay, bishop here. Well, clever, clever. I agree. But I still can save my position. Can I? Yeah, I can. It's bishop c6 move. No, bishop c6, then they take on e3 with a rook. And if I do bishop b5 again, it's knight b5, rook takes d3. What if I do this move? This. Yeah, this move works. So knight g4 works. No, wait a sec. Knight g4. Then what? Bishop takes g4, bishop takes c5, rook d1. This is a pin. This pin is a bit unpleasant. Knight c2 maybe works. Knight c2, bishop f2, knight takes a1, bishop b6. Maybe bishop b5 is the best. This. Okay, bishop c6 seems to be okay. Okay, rook g1. Okay, nice idea. Now I have an unpleasant choice. It looks like I have to take. Okay, let's take. Bishop c1. Okay, so here my original suggestion was this. Well, knight f6 doesn't look like a good idea. I threaten this and this, queen d1. Actually, I only threaten queen d1 because the knight is still protected. Okay, let's still do this. Okay, rook g1. Well, I'm in the real trouble, but let's find how to get rid of it. So what about rook here? They take, I take. Rook takes g7, king f8. Rook goes there, then f5 works. So rook d8 is a candidate move. What else? My other candidate move is this. Why this? Because after rook g7, I want to play king f8. It's risky. Mm-hmm. Well, queen e5 is another suggestion. Well, then rook g7, then this, and then queen d6. After which I have to play king there, and then I lose, obviously. So rook d8 is a candidate move, and what? And queen d5. Queen e4 is another candidate move. Yeah, queen e4. Let's take a look at this line 2. Yeah, I like queen e4 most. Because then queen d6 is not playable. Well, it seems to work. Let's do it. Bishop c2 covering d1. Okay. Yeah, rook d8 was my candidate move, right? I was about to play it too. Okay, so f5. I want to play f5, but I cannot. Cannot play queen d1. So I can play queen e1, but I don't understand what's the purpose of doing this move. Well, let's do it. Let's do this move. Bishop rook e3. Okay, so here my suggestions are uh, here I wanted to play rook d2 originally. So if I do this, they have a bishop pair, which I want to avoid. Rook g2 doesn't work. Well, rook d2, well, rook e5. Does rook e5 help? Rook e5. Yeah, rook e5 helps. Yeah, it's a good move. So looks like I cannot play like that. So let me take. Yeah, king f8. Bishop e3 here. Well, b5. Rook g1. This is what I expected. Oh, I missed. I wanted to play this move, but now I see it doesn't work because of bishop e3. Okay. So I have to bring the queen back to e5. Do I? Well, okay, f5 is the other suggestion, but it seems to not work so well. Yeah, I think I should bring the queen back because I'm expecting a discovered attack. So let's bring it back. So interesting, actually. You guys both didn't do your best, but oh, I am at 2 minutes only here. Oops, I didn't notice. And here I'm to 30. So I have to play quicker. Okay, so less explanation, but more play. So here I may still, okay, let me do this. Here I should think about the plan. It's definitely something about these pawns. Maybe I should advance it like that. Okay, let's say this. This move. Okay, so let me bring the king closer. Okay, then e5. This is not a good move. Offer the draw. Okay, let me accept it. So I can focus on these two games. King g1. I expected this move. No, I didn't. But I wanted to play this bishop e4. I expected queen g3, not king g1. But king g1 is logical. Now the queen moves. Yeah, it's a bit unpleasant. Queen is likely to move to d4, then I can deliver a check. My rook is protected, so yeah, it is better. Now after queen, okay, so rook g2 here. So knight f6 is not a threat, f5 still cannot be played. This doesn't make sense. Okay, so let's pressure the bishop. So for queen d4, this time I can just move my king. It's not a big problem. Because my rook is defended, actually. Yeah, let me calculate it deeper. Oh, e5 actually works. Yeah, why I'm talking about that. E5, of course. Queen d4, e5 is a good move. Oh, no, it's not. Maybe bishop d5 is a good... No, bishop d5, I blunder the queen. Okay, so e5 fails, actually. E5 fails because of queen d6, king g7, and bishop f5, I lose my queen. Okay. Can I just play this move? No, I cannot. Queen e4. I can deliver a check, but don't see the purpose of doing it. I can move the queen and then play e5. It's better. What else I can do? Queen c7. It's a blunder. So rook c8 doesn't work. a pity. So queen c1, knight f6. Oh, very nice move, actually. Oh, I missed it. So if I take, it's queen b7. So how should I play here? Move the king? No. Take with the queen. Still a bad idea. King f2. Okay, this is where I should play. And this is where I can play 5. This move, right. So I have two pieces hanging simultaneously. So I missed something. I was definitely about to play here for a win, but missed this queen g2 idea. Okay, queen e5. Well, then I can keep checking the king. Queen e4. Okay. Oh, it's a double attack. So queen d5. Queen here. You're right. So another check. This move. Okay, so let me. I want to get to the second rank, so let me play this. Queen f2. This move, right. So what should I play? Okay, queen f5. Oh, I missed queen d6. Okay, yeah, I missed queen d6. So it wasn't a good move. But just queen h2 was a good move. Why didn't I play it? And king g5, actually. But maybe h6 works. No, here I lose after queen d6, of course. This move. Okay, well, let's gain a tempo. Yeah, queen g6. So if the king moves, it's a checkmate, and I don't have anything else, so let's resign. Okay, so I lose. Well, g6. Well, this is probably what I lose without any doubts. Okay, bishop d3 is a good move. So, and I cannot enter the first rank. The second. Okay, what now? What should I do? Okay, so just a random move. f6, f5. Opening the position. Okay, let me find some counterplay. This. Then what? Here. Take. So the rook is trapped for a while. No, it's not. Oh, yeah, it is. Oh, I missed this move. I thought it's bishop g3. Okay. So king here, bishop f5, or bishop c5. Okay. Oh, it's a blunder also. No, maybe I can still save the game. Who knows? That was a nice idea actually to play this. Now a2 is a threat, so okay, so this move. Now a2 cannot be played, but I have a king and a pawn versus rook, which is in my favor. Maybe it's even winning. So king h1. Okay. So I think the white rook should be sacrificed for that pawn because it's a dark square on a1, so maybe I can still win. Yeah, well, here the king is even too far, so I win. Okay, thank you. 1-1. Well, but you guys did completely wrong things. Let me show you what you could do instead to punish me for this queen g4 exchange. Thank you for the game. So what you should do? Well, queen g4 is played, and this is a huge mistake. What's wrong with it? Well, this knight. If only this knight is distracted, it's over. So instead of doing this stuff where I could save my queen on h5, or just exchanging where I'm completely fine, you could try this. Now, this knight cannot be captured, neither with the pawn nor with a knight. And white is threatening this as well as this, and then take the queen. That's why it's hard to suggest anything better than this. But then knight c7, king goes to e7, and you cannot take the rook because your queen was taken just recently. So you take the queen. And now if this move, you can trap it with bishop e3, because with bishop e3, you also threaten with bishop c5 mate. That's why rook b8 and bishop f4 works. Now there is a threat of doing this move, for example. So there is also this threat to gain the exchange. That's why knight d7. But knight d7 is a mistake too because, well, it's not a mistake, but it's a weak move because of this. And if the king escapes to f6, it's knight e8 and you gain a rook. So king g6, bishop b8, knight b8, rook d8. Two pieces are hanging. Bishop d7 is the best, but then you can unpin. So after this move, they're taking your rook as well as they want to take advantage of the pin. You can simply do this and attack both bishops. If, let's say here, instead of f6, the king goes to d8, it's still a completely losing position because you can capture on e6 and only then capture on b8. And it's extra exchange because the knight cannot capture this bishop on b8. So the move that I wanted you to find was knight d5 here. Okay, so well, we are done for today. If you have any suggestions, you are welcome. You can always email me as well as you can support my webinars by using the link to PayPal. If you want to suggest, if you want to change the format of our webinars, just email me. And from this webinar, I want you to remember that if you want to get better with miscalculations, do tactics, especially intermediate moves. This is where these miscalculations come. So this is where you are trying to search if you can interfere, and instead of making a logical move that your opponent expects, you play an intermediate move and take advantage of your opponent not seeing it. So this is the homework for you. I'm also going to send you email tomorrow. Well, when you can play against me, well, every webinar we are doing such a simul from a certain position. So if you want, you're welcome. But, well, just an ordinary game, I don't see the purpose of doing it. Well, I mean, well, I can play against my students, but I'm not interested to play against everyone, especially if this chess player is much lower rated than me. So that's I just don't have so much time to play with everyone who wants. Well, if you are my student, then maybe we can schedule a daily chess order. We can at a certain moment play a 15 plus 10 game, but to play against everyone, I just don't have enough time. So on the webinars, you can use this option to play from a certain position, but to play a full match only once I organize simults. Well, okay, so you are 19, perfect. I'm 2285. My FIDE rating is 2285. Okay, we are done for today. Let's meet next Sunday. And I don't have any ideas of what the next webinar will be about. So you can suggest, and maybe this webinar will be about this exact topic. But make sure to send your suggestion before Tuesday, because on Tuesday I should be ready with the topic. I'm doing an announcement and so on. So thanks everyone for participating. See you next Sunday. Bye-bye.